Hello, everyone. I am back home and ready to share more stories with you. Thank you so much for being patient as I recover from the funeral of my mother in law. I appreciate your words of support through this hard time. Today, we are diving into part 7 of The Emperor's Concubine, so let's get going.
This town is quiet when it's late here. This town is quiet when the night is getting close. I'm outside, gonna stay here. I'm outside until you tell me to stop. I'm being so dramatic. I'm always being so dramatic. This town is quiet when it's late here.
Lionel entered the dining hall to find Genevieve eating a bowl of porridge by the table. Her face was pale, and her hair was brushed and pinned back neatly, but her eyes held no emotions. He paused to breathe and then slowly made his way to where she sat. When he reached her, her eyes looked up and fell onto his face, giving no emotion. The morning has risen, and you are here without me, my lady. I should hope you are feeling better, he said. The sun has broken in, and the day has begun, Emperor. My strength has returned slightly, although I feel as if my taste buds are nowhere near where they used to be. He reached out a hand to touch her wrist. Perhaps if I sit down next to you and join you, you may find it flavorful again. Smiling, she looked up at him. Perhaps. Bring a bowl of porridge for the Emperor, a servant said. Lionel sat down beside her, and as soon as it was brought to him, he picked up the spoon and began eating. But soon enough, River entered the room, and he found the energy in the room faded. Genevieve suddenly got up and walked to take her hand, pulling her away. Where are you going? Lionel asked. She turned around to glare at him. Women talk. That doesn't need to fall on the ears of men. Lionel stood and walked to them. You do not understand, my lady. Whether it is talk for me to listen to or not, I am to listen to every word. What conversation is hidden from the ears of the Emperor? River stepped forward and smiled. Emperor, you need not become angry. I am simply sharing my thoughts of wife duties with her, unless you like to hear them as well. Lionel's face paled, and he looked away. Understood. The two of them left, and he signaled a servant to his side. Have Easton trail the two of them. I want to know where they go and what they speak of. Yes, your majesty. Lionel returned to his chamber study and pulled out several scrolls to read and manage when the door opened and his servant walked in. Your majesty, Lord Seamus is here. Lionel's face paled, and he straightened. Send him in. Seamus, the brother of Paloma, entered shortly after. His large brown eyes were filled with hate as he walked in, towering over Lionel with his tall frame. Lord Seamus, what can I do for you? He asked. Emperor, the execution of my sister has reached my people, and I am here to collect her body for burial. I have already buried her, as per the rituals of my people. Seamus's eyes opened wide. Oh? And what honor did you gift her? A noble lady, of course. She was your empress, he cried. How can you bury her as a noble lady? Lionel walked around the desk and glared at him. Your sister committed a crime, and yet I still gifted her the burial of a noble lady. You should be thanking me, Lord Seamus. Anyone else would have made her a commoner. Seamus walked forward, and before Lionel could predict what he would do, the blow of his fist sent him falling over. Servants rushed in, and Easton came in shortly after, pulling his sword and forcing Seamus into a corner. Easton, Lionel warned. Let him go. Easton lowered his sword and backed away as Seamus dusted his armor. You have wronged my sister terribly, and I shall seek justice for her. Laughing, Lionel replied, How have I wronged her? You promised no concubines in your palace walls, and you brought one in to torture her heart. Any woman who loved you would have done the same deed as her. As an emperor, you have failed miserably. Lionel smiled and rubbed his cheek where he was hit. Lord Seamus, my hands were tied when it came to the bringing of concubines into my palace walls. Although a rule was set in place, if I had not allowed it, trading would have stopped along with military support. If you had a better answer, why was it not given to me at the time? Seamus remained silent, and Lionel continued talking. I have been ruling my people for 3 decades, my lord, and the times are not easy. What I do for the better of my people comes with a price to pay at times. I did not mistreat your sister when my concubine entered my walls, but it was your sister's hands who threatened to take away life from within here. There is a price to pay for that kind of crime. You should have sent for me when she did not abide to you. Lionel nodded and shrugged. Perhaps I should have. But she was my empress, and her actions carried a sin on my people. I am sure anything you had to say or do would not have prevented her from stopping. She was mine to punish as I saw fit, and if you did not agree, I am afraid that I do not have words to satisfy you. Words are nothing to me now. My sister is no longer here to protect herself, but I will not let you go easily. My hands shall make sure you pay for her blood. Easton swung his sword toward him. A threat against the Emperor is a means for your death on your head. Seamus laughed. Oh, really? I look forward to a duel then. He turned and left, as Lionel ushered the servants out. He turned to Easton and put a hand on his shoulder. Thank you, Easton. Emperor, I arrived late. I apologized. No need. What news have you? Easton sheathed his sword and let out a long breath. Emperor, Lady Genevieve and her mother walked along the garden and whispered together. Words I did not understand, almost like a chant in a dialect I have never heard of. Lionel frowned and sat down. This has been strange, sending my heart into a panic. What do you know of River? A shamanic witch that has taken care of Lady Genevieve and has offered medicinal help to the people in Hayab. She has been quiet and been forthgiving to those around her. No one knows much about her history or past. Lionel brushed his hand down his face, releasing a breath and leaning back in his chair. Events of this type signal something that makes my heart tremor in fear. The first in history of my people to execute their own empress. Now that she is gone, I have had a moment to reflect, and I feel I may have reacted too quickly. The hidden agenda from Lady Genevieve is making me fear too much around me. He got up and walked to Easton. Be my ears and eyes around the palace walls. I feel as if a war is coming upon me, and I am afraid I may lose this battle.
This town is quiet when it's late here. This town is quiet when the night is getting close. I'm outside, gonna stay here. I'm outside until you tell me to stop. I'm being so dramatic. I'm always being so dramatic. This town is quiet when it's late here. This town is quiet.
He is going to suspect you. Make sure you do not cave into his gentle ways. His captain of the guard was tailing us all morning long. By now, he would know that you and I are planning something, River said. Genevieve took a deep breath and felt her heart settling into her chest with a longing of love. She had thought of everything that had happened, and she wasn't sure what to make of this. The images that replayed itself over and over in her mind was something she knew was wrong. But when she thought of the gentle eyes of the Emperor, something warm filled her heart. River turned her around and stared at her eyes. I know those eyes. I have seen those eyes before, when you failed your mission. Why must you let history repeat itself? She asked. River, How do I become strong in a time like this? How do I say no when he turns gentle toward me? Think of the blood. Think of the betrayal. A horse neighed before them up ahead, and Genevieve looked up to find Lionel riding toward them. His eyes were full of passion, and she swallowed the lump down her throat. My lady, it is a beautiful day. I was hoping you would accompany me for a ride. As you wish, Emperor. He reached down and offered her his hand, which she took, and he helped her up behind him. She gave River a final glance as he took off riding toward the meadow where the wildflowers grew. She wrapped her arms around him and took a deep breath. When they finally reached the grassland, he got off and helped her down, holding her in place, staring into her eyes for a moment. When he leaned in to kiss her gently, she allowed it, and the fire began stirring in her belly. Think of the blood. She gasped and pulled away suddenly, but he kept a hand on her back, keeping her in place. Did I hurt you? He asked gently. Shaking her head, she replied, No. Why must you hide from me? I can see that there is something inside of you that is hurting. Tell me, Genevieve. Do not run from me. I am here to help you. Tears began falling down her cheeks, and she looked up at him. I can't tell you. I can't tell you anything. He reached out and touched her cheeks. Why not? Am I not your husband? Have I not lain with you properly and given you everything I can? Why must you keep yourself away from me? She sobbed and turned away. Stop being so kind to me. I do not deserve your kindness, Your Majesty. Lionel reached out and grabbed her arms, holding her in place. You are my wife. If I do not give you kindness, what should I give you? With trembling lips, Genevieve turned away and whispered, Give me death. He shook her several times. Why must you deny me this way? You and I were brought together by our people, yes, but have I ever been unkind to you? I never touched you until you allowed me to. I never hurt you, and I have always glanced upon you with desire. Genevieve let out a cry and pushed him away. Do not desire me. I am a plague ready to destroy everything in your path. Do not make me forget my purpose. Just leave me be. He reached for her hands. I cannot leave you be, my lady. One look upon you, and I have lost everything to you. How can you ask me to give you up? Once in my arms, and the need to have you lingers even more so than ever before. Allow me to love you, my lady. Give in to me. She threw her arms around him and held him as she looked beyond the hills to find River gazing at her. Her lips were moving, and suddenly her head exploded in pain and she began screaming. Lionel held her and she looked up at him. Emperor, do you trust me? She asked. Of course I do. Then make me bleed. Lionel's face paled. What madness is this you ask of me? Do it! Make me bleed! She tugged at the dagger in his belt and handed it to him. Cut me just deep enough to draw blood. This is me saving your life. Do it now. I shall explain later. She watched as his eyes darted back and forth, and he plunged the dagger into her shoulder where she cried out in pain. She fell forward, and he captured her in his arms. Now, carry me inside the palace walls, and call for the physician to attend me. Do not let anyone into the chamber, especially River. Understood, my lady, he whispered as he picked her up into his arms. Once inside the chamber, the blood that began pouring from her shoulder seeped onto Lionel's tunic. He cried for a physician to be fetched as servants began bringing in hot water. Her eyes were closed and her face pale as he stepped back and River entered the hallway. What did you do to her? She asked, her eyes threatening him with accusations. She will be fine. I have fetched a doctor, and she will be taken care of. River tried to enter when he blocked her path. I think it is best if you and I both stay out here. The eyes that glimmered at him made the hair stand up on his neck. She remained quiet as her eyes gazed at Genevieve on the bed. Lionel walked out and closed the door, forcing her to remain in the hallway. I know what you have done to her. You have bewitched her, haven't you? Do you think this will save your kingdom? River asked. Lionel gave her a soft smile. What is this you speak of? I have done nothing but given her the love and respect a husband does. These walls keep secrets, secrets that burn and kill. I am not as simple-minded as you believe me to be. I have walked the earth so much longer than you have. Do not attempt to tame me and put me away, Emperor. I shall make sure you never see another light in your day. Lionel smiled as he walked to her. River, petty threats as such would do me little harm. If you so threaten such things for me, the best thing for me to do is to give you some time and space alone. Perhaps it is best that you return, and I shall send word on Genevieve's health. Thank you, everybody. Chapter 8 will be released shortly.
This town is quiet when it's late here. This town is quiet when the night is getting close. I'm outside, gonna stay here. I'm outside until you tell me to stop. I'm being so dramatic. I'm always being so dramatic.